Hello, this is Marian Penna coming to you from seems2besew.com. Today I'm going to show you how to create holes in electric quilt. For the longest time I really thought that this was impossible, that you were just going to have to slap two shapes on top of each other and then edit them in the print PDF file to hopefully make them align properly. Until last month, when I was reading the info EQ list that comes to us from Planet Patchwork. I don't know how many of you know about this list, but info EQ is probably one of the oldest electric quilt lists that's been around. It has been, I think it's probably one of the oldest electric quilt lists that I know of, if not the oldest. And there are a lot of great people on that list who are so willing to help you out. Anyway, there was a post going on about Electric Quilt 8 and features we'd like to see. And I sent my big list. I don't know if it's big, but it has quite a few feature requests. And I sent my list to the group and also CC'd it to Electric Quilt, just as a precaution, because I usually send one every few months as I think of new things, and I keep a copy in my draft folder. So anyway, Barb Black had read my post and spoke up about several things that I had said and how she does them, and I couldn't believe that she had an absolutely great way to create holes in electric quilt. I have to tell you, when I tried this, I was astounded. I mean, wow, it is so cool. And so if I wrote to her and I asked her if I could create a lesson on how to do this, a video lesson on how to do this, and she so kindly granted me permission to do so and place it on my website. So here I am, a month later, after hard drive crash, remaking this video. Because today I was making a hole and I thought, oh yeah, I've got to do that. So I dropped everything and I recreated the lesson I had started just after I got her permission. So anyway, I'm going to simply really quick go through the other groups for Electric Quilt in case you're not aware. So obviously there's Planet Patchwork's info EQ, and they do have some other mailing lists, but I'd be willing to bet that the EQ list is by far and away their most active list. Then there is the Step-In group on uk.groups.yahoo, but my guess is that if you just put Step-In in your search groups engine, it'll probably come up with this group anyway. I mean, and probably even putting Electric Quilt came up with it. I don't remember how I found this group, but I do remember that I probably did a search for Electric Quilt. So then there is the Electric Quilt, and while they don't have, it's not a really active list, it's still a good list to be a part of. And they do have more members than the Step-In group does. And then there's the EQ Stitch group. And this is Yvonne's group, and she really wants you to stay on topic. And that's all I'm going to say about that subject. We don't discuss any other software except how Electric Quilt and EQ work together. You're not allowed to talk about other digitizing softwares. So that's about it for the various groups. And I will post these links on the lesson page where this video will show up. So that said, let's get on with the lesson. I have created two circles, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to slide this one in here, and I'm going to be saying, oh my gosh, I forgot to make my hole. What can I do? What can I do? Well, this is what you can do. Now, if you were just drawing this shape, it's pretty simple. You would just come and you can make your little line and come back over here, come over here, and then meet these two up, And there you go. You're going to slide these on into each other. I'm not even going to try to make these that perfect. I'm just trying to show you the basic idea of what you do. And really, I would straighten these lines. So they are straight across. Okay, so that's the basic idea, and they should be right on top of each other. And I can't even believe I'm being this picky about this whole thing. So anyway, what happens is that when you use your hide show for the autofill, you're going to see a white background in here, where you would not see this like over here, where you have the two holes just inside each other. That's because this one doesn't have a hole yet, but this one has a hole. And when you come here, this one has a hole and this one does not. And that's the difference between these. And I'm even going to show you how it looks when you print. When you print, basically, you're going to see this shape as it should be with the hole. What that allows you to do, and the reason why the hole is so important, is it gives you not only the placement line for, say, a shape you cover over it, but if you were making a frame and you were cutting the inside out, you would then be able to turn these edges under and be able to slip your picture in or that kind of thing, whereas you don't really have that option if you don't have some kind of help to give you that whole function. Another reason to have it is so that if you do lay a shape over it and you're using freezer paper and you cut out your whole shape, you can easily get in there to take out that freezer paper. That's another reason why I love having holes in electric quilt. And this, I mean, I just can't even believe how great this tip is. So anyway, getting back to what happens when you forget your hole. Well, it's simple, really. You're going to take and you're going to find your nodes, and this one is here, so we know to just click this one. We want to come up to our break curve tool, or we can come over here and click on the little red dot of our shape. You hold it in long enough for your little window box to show up, and it does show up pretty quickly. Then you can just click on the break tool here, or the break button here, and that will break this away. And you just want to kind of slightly set that aside. And then same thing for over here. We want to break this. We know the nodes are pretty much in the same spot, so it's pretty easy to pick up this node, and then we're going to break it as well. Then what we want to do is separate that out a bit. We want to take our line tool. I call it my straighten tool because really that's what it is. It's straighten. It gives me an absolutely straight line. There's no way around it. You get a straight line. And do you see automatically what happens? Because I had my hide show still on, automatically this fills in and I have my hole. So all I do then is I bring them together. Make sure I still have that checked. Now I want these sitting on top of each other. Okay. I'm pretty sure that, well, it's not perfect, but you can line these up until they are perfect. Then when you come over here, you can see this here is also lined up. You can fill it in with some color and no background. Isn't that great? And if you were using the patch draw block, and I always use motif, it's just habit for me. But if you were using the block, the patch draw instead of easy draw, you would be able to put a background in here, and this would, of course, if your background was, say, the green color here, it would fill in with this green, and then you could put the green in here as well, and it would become your background. What's great about this is that when you go to print this, you get the whole as you should know it should be. So if you're not sharing your pattern, I mean, I'm sharing my pattern because I'm sharing this lesson, you would get, I would take and go into PDF editing software and I would hide this line. So people don't even realize that that line is supposed to not be there. But if this were your own pattern and you weren't worried about it and you weren't ink conscious on your printer, you could just leave the line be. It's not a lot of ink that it's going to be, that big of a deal. Now, if you had a lot of circles, you might want to go in and delete it off. But you do have to have PDF editing software to do that. And to my knowledge, there is no freeware that will allow you to do that. You have to buy it. I've bought several, and I would tell you, if there were freeware, I would tell you. So, I'm going to quickly show you some other artwork that I did to show other types of shapes where you might have more than one hole, or if you have an odd shape kind of thing, like the letter E. I'm going to show you how I did the letter E. I will be right back with those shapes. Okay, so here I am with my other shapes. I've shown you my O, and now I wanted to show you how I did the letter E. Basically speaking, what I did with the E was I actually kind of drew it just on its own. I'm sorry. That's not a good one. It's not a good start. I always think I can draw really quick here, but sometimes I can't. I just kind of drew it on my own until I got a letter E type shape, and then I made a little fill-in for it, and I dragged it in. And then what I did was I took and I split in the middle. I added some nodes in the middle, and I did the split that way. And the reason why I have the two E's here is because I'm planning to share this project file, and I wanted you to see how to go from this to this. So that's going to be noted in the notes section. But the other one is what I wanted to really discuss here was how I did the square, and I guess I could have made this a more oddball type shape, but I wanted to show how I did two holes in the same shape. So when I drew the square, I just took and drew the square shape from this toolbar here for the triangles and the squares and polygons and that kind of thing. And then I just made a little shape, and then I put some squares inside it. And I basically did the same thing. I broke the lines up and added nodes, and then put the straight lines in. But when you do this, you need to remember to do your outside line first and connect it into your shapes. Then you just would draw your shape, whichever one you're doing. And if you're doing a second hole at the same time, you might as well go ahead and do it. It's not going to hurt anything. Draw your shape and come around, then come back up and around. And then you just go in and you line them up over each other like you would. And that's pretty much how you do two shapes. I'll be sharing this project file, so you are going to be welcome to play with it all you like. And in my next little show, I'm going to switch this on pause for a minute, and I'm going to bring up other shapes actual shapes I've used this technique in. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. The artwork that I used for this doggy face is from Clip Art for resale. I believe the artist is Alice Smith, but I can't remember for sure. I'm fairly sure. But anyway, I made a line here, and then I made the line in here. I'm going to show you a little quicker version of this doggy face, so you can see it a little bit better. But this is how I did this. When I started over here, and I came up and around, then I came here, and then I came up here, and I came around and about, and then I came back and did this. And that's how I did this shape. But I wanted to emphasize to you that you could bring your lines in anywhere. You could do it over here, you could do it up here, you could do it up here, you could do it over here even. It's where you want to put the line. You just have to remember that the lines that are going across are not lines you are going to cut. It's the actual shape you'll cut. And And really you should cut a little inside your lines, but you can't draw a seam allowance there. So the idea really is to make sure you remember to add a little bit of a seam allowance when you're cutting, a little bit of give room, I guess you could say. So I hope that this video has shown you how to create holes, and again, I really want to thank Barb Black for her inspiration and her willingness to share her knowledge about EQ. This was a huge thing for me because I was so frustrated about the whole issue in EQ, and now I don't have to worry about whether they do it or not. This is just such a great tip. So I thank you. I hope you learned something new, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye for now.